Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
We're going to learn something today, and it's the beginning of what I learned from her in terms of what can hold you back in life. It's called a heart wall. And when I first heard this term, my vision is right away. It's a wall you have up regarding your heart, probably relationships. We've all gone through things during relationships where it may have, held you back. You got hurt, whatever. It goes deeper than that in terms of that heart wall holding you back from getting a great job, maybe abundance, maybe getting the things you really want. So we're going to look at that today. And this is all connected to the emotion code, which she practices and helps people heal from it all the time. Mila Velazquez is back with us. Welcome. How are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you, Steve?
I'm better, thanks to you, because it sounds like my heart wall has lowered a little bit, and it's work in progress, right?
Yes, it is.
When we did a session a couple of weeks back, you said my wall was pretty high. You took it down a little bit. When you connect with somebody to work with them, you're connecting with their energy and they're allowing you to be connected energetically. You can actually see the relative height of somebody's heart wall.
Yes. So we actually measure it. I connect to the subconscious and I ask, how long is your heart wall? And the subconscious, tells me. I ask, is it 1 foot, 2 feet, 3 feet? And your subconscious tells me, and as it gets lower, as we release the trapped emotions, I'll ask, what is it now? Oh, it's down to 2 feet. Wonderful. Until we get to 0. And we know we've released the heart wall 100%.
I find it fascinating in that you ask the question of another person that you're energetically connected to at that time, and their subconscious energetically gives you the answer. Whoa.
Yes.
Wow.
Their subconscious, I'm able to connect through the energy to somebody else's subconscious and test their nervous system using manual muscle testing and ask questions and get the answers. So I will ask, do you have a heart wall? I will get a yes or no. I'll ask, are you ready to release the heart wall? Yes or no? And so forth and so on. And it's 100%. That doesn't fail.
And there's no way that somebody like you can do that to somebody else unless they give their permission, right?
Correct. So I cannot get into somebody's, area, their bioenergetic field without getting their permission. That is their sovereignty. And, the laws of the universe is you cannot get into somebody else's space without their permission. So even if I try, I will get false answers.
So we don't have to go into the logistics, but how is it again you ask permission? Is it just you verbally say to somebody else, is it okay if I do this?
Yeah, I ask you, do you give me permission to manual muscle test you on myself to find whatever that we need to be able to work with you? Do you give me permission to work with you?
And you said something else, if I remember, when we had the session that you actually, I forget the phraseology, but you are becoming that person in some regards, right?
Well, I take on your energy. So yes. So I test for you and I dig around that subconscious on your behalf. And that's exactly what I do, to test you.
Have you ever done that, connected to somebody else, and as soon as you got connected, felt like, whoa, like they got a lot going on here?
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. I could actually feel their anxiety or their nervousness. So I connect and all of a sudden I become nervous and jittery, and my heart starts to palpitate. And I know that this doesn't belong to me, that this is what the person is feeling. And I ask them, are you feeling nervous? And they say, oh, yes, I am, Mila. I'm feeling very nervous. And as I start to release the energy, I feel a little bit calmer. And I ask them, how are you feeling? And they say, good, I'm feeling calm. Yeah.
Wow. How do you disconnect? Is it just as simple as like cutting a connection, like hanging up on somebody?
Yep, I disconnect. I give them their energy back and I take mine back. And then afterwards, I go and I wash my hands and I take their energy off of myself.
Hmm. So
Yeah.
let's talk about those things that can hold somebody back if their heart wall is just way too high. What are the things that it can impact?
Oh my gosh. Well, it can give you pain, chest pain, neck pain, shoulder pain. You can have depression, anxiety, feeling of isolation, not really fitting in properly. You can have low immunity, feeling tired and fatigued. Um, Relationship struggles, not being able to receive love and give love. Um, Having a difficulty, finding clarity in your life. What are you supposed to do? You're walking around in a fog, lost, confused, not really happy with what you're doing. And the last thing is, wealth and abundance issues. Doesn't matter
Hmm.
how hard you try, you just cannot get that abundance and that wealth coming to you.
How does that work? If your heart wall is up, how does it connect to the holding you back from the prosperity?
Well, when, for example, you're a car salesman and someone comes to you, whether you make that sale is the energy that the people feel. You can use the same words, and if you have a great energy, people will buy into it, literally.
Hmm.
If your energy is being blocked by something, it doesn't matter what you say, that person, your energy is off. It's not exactly good. That person's going to, get up and walk away from you. So sometimes it's not really truly about what you say. It's those subtle energies. It's about, do you have a good energy or do you not have a good energy? And so if you have that blockage in your heart, and it's like a shield, then it doesn't matter how hard you try, you're not going to make that sale, and you're not going to get that abundance and that wealth. It's almost like self sabotaging yourself
It's almost
because
when
you
you
are
you
blocked.
you look at a salesperson and wow, I don't know what they're doing, but I don't know how they do it. But people buy like, and I don't see that. Maybe they smile a lot. I don't know what it is, but there is something that people, if you will, buy into, and maybe that something is their energy that they're putting out.
Absolutely.
And if the
Yes.
heart wall is too high, uh, I guess it's a negative vibration that's coming off of them.
Yes, it's a blockage. It's truly a blockage. The energy cannot go through. So when a person doesn't have a heart wall, they're able to give that love. They're able to open up their hearts, and you could feel that right away. You could feel that energy, that energy of love and acceptance. And then sometimes you walk in and you see someone, and right away you get a feeling like, I got to get out of here, right?
Mm.
I all of a sudden don't want to be here. And that's because the person's energy is just not what it needs to be. And you feel that. And that truly is your instinct. That is your sixth sense. It's your intuition. It's that gut feeling that says, oh, something is wrong. Gotta go.
Mm. Yeah, I totally get it. It's listen, we're all animals. We are. Uh, and you think of in the animal world, one walks by another one and they pick up on the energy. That's how they evolution goes. You know, you don't become a predator because you realize something's not right here. I'm getting out of here. I think it's the same way with humans where
Yeah.
you're just feeling it. So something's, I don't know, something's not right. I'm not gonna buy that car today. I don't know. Let me think about this some more. Maybe I'll get back to you. Then there's other times where it's just like I got sucked in. I don't know what it
Right.
was.
Absolutely. That's exactly how that works. Or
Hmm.
sometimes, have you ever gone to, let's say, a party, and you walk in and you stay there for a little bit and you're just not interested? You got to go. You're not feeling it. You're getting a little bit upset, a little, jittery, restless. You just have to leave. It's because the energy of what's happening there. And you feel it. You quite sometimes don't know where it's coming from, but it's coming from your senses, those subtle senses of your intuition, the feeling, the knowing.
Hmm.
Um, and most people don't pay attention to it, unless they are enlightened and they're able to zoom in on those subtle senses and say, okay, this is what's being told to me. Now I pay attention to it. Do I stay or do I go?
All right, here's a deeper question based on all of this. Let's say you're going to hang with somebody
Mm-hmm.
and you just know that a lot of times their energy just kind of like pulls you down.
Yeah.
It's happened in the past.
Mm-hmm.
So you're anticipating it again. And then you get with them and you do feel it again. Is it possible that we're sabotaging the experience or the relationship based on previous energy? Or is it reasonable to think, yeah, it happens, it's happening again? I just feel like, nah, again, because of what they're putting out there.
Well, it's very reasonable. If a person has negativity and a person is feeling low and very low vibrational and they're in fear and they're worried and they're anxious and they have all this garbage in their life and they come to, with you, they get together with you and you're a little bit higher vibrational and you're happy, they almost like suck that happiness out of you because they need to feed a little bit off of that positive energy.
Mm.
And you sense that their energy is very low and you want to, once again, you feel it and you feel that energy coming from them and it doesn't make you feel very good. Why? Because they're vibrating at a different frequency than you are and you're feeling it. And people that I do have low energy, they like that, feeling of that high energy. So sometimes when you talk to somebody and they dish out all of their toxic, crap onto you, you leave feeling exhausted and tired and they feel energized and say, well, I'm so happy to see you. I'm glad we got together. Why? Because they just, took all of your positive energy, kind of soaked it in and felt wonderful.
Is that known as an energy vampire?
Uh-huh. That's
Ah.
exactly what it's known.
Mm.
Yes.
So how does the emotion code and what we're talking about with you getting into somebody's energetic field and their subconscious, how does that vary from, let's say, something like Reiki? Because that also deals with energy and clearing and such.
Right. So you're using the same energy. It's just a different type of modality. The emotion code is truly a modality where we identify the underlying root cause of an issue, unblock those energies and release them so that a person can be happy, healthy,
Mm.
and abundant in their lives. Reiki is using the source's energy to heal, to open up the chakras and allow that energy to heal that person. Emotion code is truly something where we identify using the subconscious what's the underlying cause of an issue and release that energy that's sitting there that's vibrating at a different frequency than your own body. And if that energy is sitting there vibrating at a different frequency and vibration, it will distort your energy field and cause an issue.
Mm.
Emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually. Yeah, that's the
In
difference.
in your most extreme encounters of somebody with, let's just say a lot going on, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just a lot of just negative energy, heart wall up top, everything. In one session, again, this is all just a guesstimate, but in one session, let's say they were 100%, wall up, mucked up, a lot of things going on. Percentage wise, where do you think they might be? Everybody's different. Might
Well,
be after one session.
so everybody's different, and every subconscious. You don't forget it's your gatekeeper, right? So there's some people that are able to release 5 emotions and then say, that's it, I can't take it anymore, it's too much for me. Some people are able to
Uh,
release 15 emotions and get it all out. It all depends. The emotions will come out as your subconscious will allow it to come out, because again, you might need those emotions up for a little bit because they're protecting you.
got
The
it.
only reason why you got that shield is because it's there as a defense mechanism, as a protective shield. So everybody's different. Some people are ready to release the whole heart wall all at once. And some people say, okay, I'll release 5 emotions and hold on a minute, I have to process them. If you let out too many emotions, we have physiological effects to all this processing. About 60% of people have physiological effects. And that means They can become dizzy. They can uncontrollably cry. They can uncontrollably laugh. They can become moody. They can get, stomach issues like running to the bathroom.
Mm.
Why? Because they're releasing, the energy releases. Some people start to burp. Some people just become very relaxed and very sleepy, and they need to just, go home and rest after they're done.
Wow.
Some people say to me, Mila, you wiped me out. I had to go home and I slept for 12 hours. I woke up like a different person, happy once again. I'm ready to go, So everybody's different because everybody has different emotional baggage, and we're all different ages. Some of us have, just a little bit, and some of us have a ton of emotional baggage to clear out.
Yeah, well, like it said, we all come with baggage. If you're, 25, you've got a lot less because you haven't lived a longer life where you've experienced all this stuff going on. And if you're double that age and then some, yeah, there's you got more. You're gonna. It's just the way of the world. It's gonna happen that
That's
way.
the way it is, right? That's exactly how that works.
So it's really the person that you're working with and not them that allows the healing so much. It's because if somebody's got a wall up or they can only subconsciously release a certain number of things, you can't do any more except,
Right,
go to another session and then
right.
start working on them even more and more and more until is it possible to eradicate all the stuff that's in somebody?
It is, so when I started this because of my own personal health issues that I had. And I realized that it was my nervous system that was kicking off, giving me all these physical problems, and the doctors couldn't help me. So I was like in my 40s at that time. And the one thing that I had was a lot of stress in my life. And I was, it was stress upon stress, and it did me in physically, and it came out of my health. And then when I started this, I said, okay, I got to work on it. And you know what? It took me like 2.5 years to release all of my garbage. Why?
Wow.
Because I've lived life. I've had failures in my life. I've had painful events happen. I've had some traumas, even from childhood. I came here at a very young age when my parents immigrated, and I absorbed all that energy from them when I watched how they, came here as immigrants and how hard it was, and went through immigrating from the USSR and coming to the States. And that was all stressful. And I never thought that really made a difference. But my God, when I started releasing all of those, issues and the fears, I realized where all these fears were coming from. There's everything that I absorbed and I experienced through immigration, going from the USSR to Austria to Italy to coming to the United States. And, that was a lot of garbage. There was a lot of emotional baggage, a lot of emotions. And
Yeah.
so, when you're 40 some years old and you've lived life, I accumulated a lot, and I was able to release to be able to be, healthy again and happy again, and, go on my life path as a healer, and to continue to heal and take my experiences and truly be able to heal others. Because I truly believe that every healer healed from something themselves in order to now be able to guide and heal and bring a healing to someone else.
Well, I guess that comes down to life purpose. You're here for a reason. That's what I truly believe. I think you believe the same thing.
Correct.
And, that's your life purpose. You had to live through that stuff
Right.
to realize that you can heal. And I mean you, but everybody else can heal. So this whole emotion code goes back a long time for you.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I started this as a personal, personal for me, because I was a physical therapist at that point for like 20 some years. I became very sick. I had a lot of headaches and migraines, pain, numbness. I was anxious. I was depressed. I couldn't get up in the morning to go to work. My family didn't know what to do with me. I was really struggling.
Wow.
And I finally said, I got to do something. And I, ran to every doctor, and every doctor gave me a different diagnosis. This one gave me medication. This one gave me injections. I went to every type of psychologist, psychiatrist, acupuncturist. I mean, I tried it all 3 times around until one very smart doctor who was a pain management doctor said to me, you know, Mila, this is all your nervous system kicking off. And I said to him, well, that's great, but how do I heal myself? And he said, here's some medication. And he gave me the medication, and guess what? It helped. But then as soon as I stopped taking the medication, holy cow, everything came back 3 times fold for me. But I understood that it was a nervous system issue. So what I started to do was I started looking for other alternative, holistic mind and body approach to healing. What do I have to do to calm my nervous system to release all of the issues that I'm having that are coming out as physical issues? And I had to look outside the box because, I have a scientific degree, a science degree, and I need to know why this happens. But at that point, I was so miserable. I said, whatever, I'll try absolutely anything just to get myself better, because I couldn't go on like this. It affected every part of me. It affected me being a physical therapist. It affected me being a mother. It affected me being a daughter. It did nothing for my life. So I understand that the body has a way of healing itself. And I was persistent and finding the key to it. And I took, a lot of courses, science courses, neuroemotional technique, another wonderful technique that I studied. Then I studied the emotion code with Dr. Brad Nelson. And now what I do is I put it all together, and I put the intuition together with the emotion code, together with what I learned from the other doctors and energy medicine techniques. And bingo, I have a little concoction of what do I need to do to now help somebody else, whether it's emotionally, whether it's a physical problem, an ailment, children, animals. My favorite is the animals, to be able to take an animal that truly has gone through the veterinary loop and nobody can help them. And once I release that energy, wow, the animal thrives. So it's really exciting to see a different approach. And truly, I believe that this is where our medicine is going. Eventually, it will be bioenergetic healing. And this is what's going to get us better versus the chemical. Let's take a pill. Let's get an injection. Because that to me is a patch. It's only a patch.
I totally agree with you. And I think the time is now that people start realizing this. And, let's not get into politics, but, when it comes to medication, there's a thing called big pharma and there's lots of money on the line. So why have a government allow other types of healing? Because it may not generate as much revenue. I have to tell you, I didn't realize that the emotion code went that far back. Number one. Number two, talked with you a bunch of times, never realized that what you do is a concoction of a bunch of different things, all modalities that work, but it's almost like you put these, you're making a dish and one ingredient, it's going to be okay. Pasta, great. You add this to it, sauce, you add garlic, all of this, now you have a meal. So I didn't realize, I thought it was just straight out emotion code that you were doing. And I'm going to go with the third one before we sign off here. You are definitely intuitive, because you have text me things that you were feeling days, week after we got together for a session. And you were right. Like I wrote back, yeah, I am dealing with that right now, or I am feeling with that. You're disconnected from my energy. So, but you're picking up on something. So you have something, if you will.
I have a gift that I was born with, and it's really being able to feel, to know, to sense. And I have worked on it. We all have it, but I have worked on it. And my knowing is, once I know it, I know it. I can see it. I can feel it. And once I work with somebody, it just comes to me. So I knew that something was happening with you, and that's why I sent you a message to say it will pass, because I could feel it. And that's, again, something that I have worked on to make it more. And the more that I work with energy, the more I am, able to hone in and tune in on somebody else's emotions, yours,
Well,
the animals. Yeah.
And again, I forgot about animals, that this can work for them. But, so I validate your intuition, whatever you got going on there. How do we find you, Mila? How do we connect?
Oh, you can find me at iwhealing.com or innerwisdomenergy@gmail.com, and send me a message and I will surely get back to you. 732-515-3393 is my phone number.
Wonderful. Yeah. Start the conversation. All I'm going to say is what you just said before, that somebody can typically feel maybe tired. That's what I felt. So that's my indication that something was going on. And there was nothing wrong with feeling tired, because the next day, like you say, you wake up and you're like, oh, wait a minute, I've got clarity. Things feel better now. All right. And that's my validation that this stuff is real. It works. And I agree with you. It is the wave of the future. Once we more people realize it, and I do believe more are picking up on it. Thank you, Mila, so much for being here with us.
Thank you, Steve. It's always a pleasure.
It is. Same with me. And we'll be right back.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.